All right, cool, we'll get started. So today we're going to go through some of the features that are on Plus and Pro accounts specifically. So the goal today is for those of you who are maybe on lower package types right now, to let you know the things that you will have access to if you do decide to upgrade. And for those of you who have Plus and Pro accounts right now, this is just a good way for you to take advantage of the things that you do already have and that you might have questions about. So today we're going to start with Scheduler. So Scheduler is something that's available on a Plus account and higher. It's something that we've added, I think, about a year ago, maybe or so. And basically, it's a way for you to be able to put in a desired roasted amount of coffee, and based on your profile, whether it be single origin, pre or post roast blend, get an idea of how much you'll need for each batch, and a way to be able to schedule them every day and have the person on the floor who's roasting, whoever that may be, know exactly what they need to do. So right now we're on the schedule page. To get there, we just went to the top of our screen, went to the roast tab, and clicked on the scheduler there. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and create schedule. Some of this here we'll go over in just a second, what we're looking at here after we create our schedule. But right now, all we need to know is what location that we're scheduling for. So right now we have the roastery that we're going to be scheduling, and right now the Probat is the only roaster in that location. So we're going to go ahead and create a schedule. So here we can decide what day we want to schedule for. So we'll just schedule some roasting for today. Even though it's late in the day, we're still at it. So we're going to go and then select what we want to do next. So we have single origin or pre-roast blend or post-roast blend. So you can schedule either one of those. The main difference being post-roast blend is going to, of course, be when you go and schedule a post-roast blend, you're going to be able to select a number of different profiles that you'll know you'll need to roast, and then it will let you know how much you need to roast of each of those profiles. But right now, we'll just do single origin and pre-roast blend. We'll go and select a profile, and we'll just do our Cropster demo profile for now. So along with that profile that we just selected, it already has some weight loss information attached to it. So 14.3% is the determined weight loss for this particular profile. And then we have the green lot automatically that pops up as well. So down below, if we look, we have the Probat UG22 that's selected. And then if we want to, we can also select what team member or what person is going to be doing the roasting. So we'll go ahead and do Jaylee for today. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit calculate batches. A note here, if you know exactly how many batches you'd like to do, you can just do a quick add here and just say, maybe we want to do 4 batches, and we can just immediately add 4 batches to our schedule. If we go and hit calculate batches, this gives us a little bit more in-depth view. It's just a more in-depth calculator if we want to roast to a desired quantity. So we'll go ahead and hit calculate batches. So let's say we need to roast for the day. I'll just make a number here. We'll say 40 kilos. So if our desired amount is 40 kilos for this particular profile, with this 14.3% weight loss percentage in mind, that means that we're going to need about 46 kilos of green coffee in order to achieve this roasted amount. So that's with this 12 kilo batch size, and that's going to end up being 3.89 batches. So we have 2 different options here when it comes to selecting the number of batches. What we can do is either schedule 3 full batches, and then you see it here, it gives us an option to schedule that last 0.89 of a batch. And so we can do 3 full and then 1 batch that's at 10.68 kilos. So we can schedule that right now. It will show up in Roasting Intelligence, which I'll go over in just a second, as 3 full batches of that 12 kilo batch size. And then the last batch will be 10.68 kilos. If you are not interested in doing an adjusted weight for the last batch, we can just go ahead and hit round up to full batch. So there it's going to give us 4 batches in total, and then we'll see we have a little bit of extra roasted coffee in the end, but then we have that full number there. So now we're good to go. If we'd like, we can hit add 4 batches if we're interested in just scheduling something for the day. If we'd like to create a repeating schedule, we can do that as well. So here I'll just go ahead and hit repeat schedule, and then we have the options down below to select an interval time frame. So we can either do every week, every 2, 3, or 4 weeks. And then let's say we do weekly. We want to do this every week on Thursday, starting today. And then we can select how long we want to do this for. So we can say we want to do this clear through November. Great. Now, if I hit add these batches, then every week this will show up in my schedule and I won't need to do anything more. Our system is intuitive in that it takes into account how much you have in your green lot. And let's say you wanted to schedule too far out, you wanted to go all the way through December. In this case, it's going to say, actually, your lot is going to run out. You need 672 kilos, but you only have 10 bags of our 10 60 kilo bags, which wouldn't be enough. So it will keep you in check there. For our purposes now, I won't do a repeating schedule. I'll just turn that off, and then I can do add 4 batches. If you're scheduling multiple things, so let's say you don't want to just schedule this one thing, you want to do multiple, you can hit create another schedule, so that once you add those 4 batches, it pops this screen right back up so that you can add those 4 batches or whatever other batches you'd like right after. So we'll go ahead and do add 4 batches. And that's right, I did keep that selected. We'll turn that off. Cool. Okay, so now we have our 4 batches that have been scheduled, but we need to take into account what color these scheduled coffees are, and the color will tell us where they are as far as if they've been published yet or not, and if the roaster who's actually at the machine can see what they need to do. So right now we have this unpublished color. This is this kind of hollowed out white color. So that means it hasn't been pushed out to Roasting Intelligence, which is our roasting application. So what we'll do is we'll hit Publish Schedules. So now that we've published a schedule, we notice it goes from that white color to this darker blue color. Now this means the next time that the roaster goes and opens up their roasting application and hits the synchronize button, or if they'd open it up for the first time during the day, then this will go from that blue color to the green one. That will let whoever know who may be scheduling the coffee that the person who's roasting does indeed see their schedule and they know what they need to roast. Similarly, you'll see another color change here from this dark green to the lighter green. That just means that it's been roasted. So if you want to see what's been going on for the day, you can get an updated view of what's been roasted at any given time. And then this yellow color, that just means that there was a different green roasted than scheduled. So if for whatever reason the person roasting did not put in the right start weight or the desired amount wasn't achieved, then that would appear yellow and you know you'd need to do something else. So once you do have this published and the person goes and opens up Roasting Intelligence, I'll show you what that looks like. So here we have our roasting application here, and on the left side we see this bar, and this is where that schedule is going to appear. So right now I just have a demo coffee scheduled, and this whole bar here is collapsible, so you can either have it open or closed, and it will show you exactly what you need to roast. So all the person will need to do then is select whatever the next one on the list is, and then immediately that profile information along with the green inventory and all of the reference data down below for that roast will appear, along with the start weight as well. So as long as you have the right green coffee ready to put in the machine, that's really all you need to do. Once you hit start roast and the person roasts it, then that will be marked off of the list, and whoever wants to view what's been done for the day will of course then see that color go from the dark green to the light green, letting you know what's been done. So once you actually start your roast and you're in the roast, you can also see this scheduled information on the left side as well. So while you're roasting, you can see what's going to be coming up next, so you can prepare for that. Up here at the top, you can see what's been done. So right now we haven't actually roasted any of these, and we have 5 in total that are scheduled, and none of them have been roasted. So that means that there's 5 remaining so far. So these are the ones we still need to do. So just lets the person who's roasting know what's been done already. So that is what it would look like once you've scheduled it. Some of the other features that you have access to would be rescheduling things. So let's say, for example, you publish things on Thursday, but you're like, man, it is about quitting time, and we're not going to be doing any more roasting today. So you can actually take this scheduled batch here and move it to another day that you'd like. So let's just say we're going to do this instead on Friday, then we can move it there, and of course it's going to say it's unpublished. Then we will need to hit the publish schedules, but then we can effectively move it pretty easily. If you want to schedule another batch on a specific day pretty easily, you can just go and click the plus button on any of the days, or you can even click it on the Probat here. For those of you who are in roasteries that have multiple machines, you will see those multiple machines here on the left side. So right now we just have the Probat. If I actually toggle to the other location that I have in our account here, then it's going to show us the 3 machines, so Geese and Loring Probat. So then you will see the schedule in a more organized view where you can see each roast per roaster. You can also go and change, so we'll go back to the one we had before. By the way, all the information that we're going to be going through today, this is just a demo account here. So if some of the information doesn't look true to life, that's just because it isn't in some cases. If you want to, you can go and check the schedule. So you can click on the schedule and toggle through whatever days you have things scheduled for, and you can go and change that. Right now we're looking at a weekly view, but you can also change this to a daily view if you'd like as well. You can also print out this list of what you have scheduled, and yeah, so that is the other thing you have access to there. So that is it for the scheduler. Doesn't look like there's any questions that I see in the queue there. So we will move on to our next topic here. So the next thing I wanted to cover would be goals. So in your account, if you have a Plus account and higher, you have access to goals for your profiles. So right now I have pulled up a profile. To get to a profile, all you need to do is go to the Roast tab and click on Profiles, and then select your desired profile that you'd like to set a goal for. So right now we have this profile pulled up, and what I'm going to do is scroll to the very bottom of this profile, and we'll see this section here that says Profile Goals. So what we'll do is hit Set Roasting Goal, and we can do Add Existing Goal, so a goal that we previously set on our account, or we can do Create a New one. In our case, we'll just do Create New. So we can select the type of goal. So in Cropster, a goal is just, it's going to be a benchmark that you hold your quality standards to for your roast. And you'll see what those look like in just a little bit. But right now we can select what type of goal. So previously we just had these things like you could call them maybe static goals. So you can set goals for weight or time, duration or temperature, rate of rise. These are goals that are going to stay and not change with the changing of your profile. So for example, let's say start temperature. If you have your start temperature, you want your drop temperature to be, let's say 350 degrees, then that's your goal. And if it deviates from that within a certain amount, then you'll get a notification saying, hey, your goal deviated. We also then later on created this thing called relative goals, which these goals move with your reference roast. So when you update your profiles and select new references for your profiles, then your goals will also change, which just helps you with having to go and change your goals every time you change your profile reference. So in this case, I'll go ahead and do meet the reference so I can show you what these look like. As you can see here, it says these goals automatically adapt when you change the reference roast. So we have these 4 different categories here. So a good example, like I mentioned before, let's just say start temperature. Right now we have the unit in Celsius. You can change it to Fahrenheit if you'd like. So this goal is going to be a range that varies from your reference roast. So we'll just say an allowed range. We can do maybe, let's do an allowed range of 4 degrees. So this gives us an upper and lower range of 2. So if your roast is ever 2 degrees lower or 2 degrees higher than what it should have been, you'll get a notification. Maybe that's too strict. Maybe you can say, let's make it 6. So in this case, that would update it to 3 on the lower end, 3 on the upper end. You can change these. So if you wanted it to be 2 on the lower and then 4 on the upper, then you could do that as well. You also have the ability to set goals for all these different other parameters. So you can go ahead and check those out. It works in a very similar manner. So time, for example, allowed range from our reference roast, we can say we only want it to be within 10 seconds. So if your roast is going to be, let's say 13 minutes long, then it can only be, 13:05 or 12:55. And if it's outside of those ranges, then you'll get an email. At the end of the day, you get production email sent to you, a daily production email, and that will show you what roasts had goals that were not met. And similarly, throughout reports in Cropster, you'll see that there'll be a little notification saying either a red check or a red marker saying that you have either this roast either met your goals or did not meet your goals, which would hopefully give you a better idea as to why you're finding certain things in the cup if you're cupping it afterwards. So that is that for goals there. You can set as many goals as you'd like. Again, meeting the reference goals moves with the reference roast, and then all the other goals are going to be ones that stay and don't adapt to your reference roast. Let's see here. Cool. Doesn't look like there's any questions. So in that case, we'll move on. One more thing before we go on to the next topic, just to show you an example. I pulled up a roast here that just a single roast, so just PR number here. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and in this case, there was just one roasting goal set for this particular profile, and it was an Agtron value. So there was the allowed upper and lower range. So lower range was 64, upper range was 68. And in this case, the value recorded for the Agtron score is 66.9. So well within those 2 limits, and therefore it gives us this green check mark, and we were good to go. If for whatever reason it stepped outside of that bound, then you would see not a green check mark, and it would let you know that it had stepped outside of that. And then also when you go and look at things like the roast compare report, for example, then you would also see those little notifications. Cool. So that is that for goals. I'm going to move on to a part of green inventory that is very useful when you have a Plus or Pro account, and this feature is multiple locations. So multiple locations just allows you to have your coffee stored in different places. So for example, if you have a place where you hold your green coffee and then you move it to the roastery, for example, you can take that into account, and you can make changes fairly easily about where that coffee is moving to and from. And even things like if you have contracted coffee that you haven't actually received yet, you can create a virtual location for this. And then that way you know that you have coffee. It's just not in one of your physical locations yet. So right now I just have a PG number pulled up, and we see that we have 2,100 kilos in this inventory here. So on the right side of the screen, we see we have about 2,400 kilos in all of the locations between these 2 different places. So right now we are on this one. If we want to go to the other one, we can easily go and select the other location. And then that's going to bring us to the other location, let us know how much we have there. But what's really cool is that you can see how much you have in total on the right side. So if you want to, let's go back to the other one that has more inventory. So something else you can do with this is you can manage how much coffee is in each place pretty easily. So you can hit manage, and then what we can do is do warehouse distribution. So we'll go ahead and open that up. So right now we just have 2 different locations on our account, but it's showing us how much weight we have in total, and then how much we would like to. It gives us the opportunity to move it either to one location or to another. So if we say we want to move a bunch of this to the roastery, we can say we want to move 500 kilos to the roastery, and then once we hit update, then it's going to move that to the roastery, and then that will be in a new location now. So there we go. So we've moved 500 kilos to the roastery. It's taken it out of the other one, updated that inventory, and now we have some in our roastery. Something else to point out that every account has access to, but still is a really cool feature, is just looking at the history of usage of a particular coffee. So we'll go ahead and hit show history. And in this case, we can see that we started here with our initial weight, and then it was used over time. So it looks like it was, coffee was taken out bit by bit, and then we are given this projection line. So that's saying if we keep using our coffee like we have been, then we are going to end up at 0 at this date. So in this case, February 12th of next year. So the other thing you can do as well is you can merge inventories. So if you want to take 2 lots and put them together into one, you can do that fairly easily as well. And then a fairly basic feature that is very good to know if you're dealing with green coffee is if you want to adjust your weight, you can just hit adjust weight, and then you would type in the new weight that you have. So you would say if you wanted to add more, for example, you could say our new weight is going to be 2,000 kilos, which is an adjustment of 400 kilos in the positive direction. Cool. I think that is it with green inventory, multiple locations. The last thing to mention is just how to create new locations on your account. So if you go to the settings button at the top, then you can go ahead and click on locations. And once you open this up, it's going to give you the locations that you have currently set in your account, and then it will give you the option to add more. So here are our locations, fairly simple. Just go ahead and hit add new location, and then you will have that option available when you're adding in your green coffee, or when you're scheduling your roast, for example, if it's a new roastery location in that case, and you'll be able to store your coffees there. Cool. So that would be it for multiple locations. The next thing on my list I wanted to go over was sample management, and we'll go ahead and open up a sample here. So sample management in Cropster is going to be on a pro account, and it gives you the ability to not only record, obviously, of course, you're right on a plus account, and lower you have the ability to add in green coffee, which is more geared towards production green lots, so large quantities. In this case, with samples, we can, I'll go ahead and actually open up the main tab here to show you what it looks like. We can take into account all the samples that we have in our account. So once this pulls up, there we go. Cool. So as you can see, they are not PGs, they're SGs, sample green, and they will give you a lot of the same information that a PG will, with some differences. So for example, you'll have the option of a rating, so you can accept or decline, and also write why you're accepting or declining it. But I'll get into that in just a second when I open up that SG that I have pulled up here. Just a really quick explanation for how to add in samples. We have this cool bulk uploader, which makes it easy to input multiple samples at once. And it looks similar to a spreadsheet in fashion, but obviously much more helpful with the way that it's input. So you can go and type in any name there, and then if it's going to be the same for multiple, you can just click and drag, and then that will populate all of those fields. And then you can customize what different columns you have, or what different data sets you're inputting data for about those samples. Once you have input everything that you wish to put in, you just go ahead and hit import samples, and then you will have a full list of samples that have been added to your account. So Again, just another basic but important thing to know. Just in all reports in Cropster in general, there's going to be this customize button here in the top right corner, and that way you can change what different data sets you're looking at. So if there's something you're not looking for and you want to filter by or search by, it's probably going to be in there. Cool. So we'll jump over to a sample that's already been created. So right now we can see some basic information, sales number, when it was registered, the processing method, where it came from, what farm, things like that. If we go down, we'll see that there are actually two different samples here. So the sample that we're on right now is SG0189, but we'll also notice that there's this 106 here. So you'll see that we have pre-shipment and arrival. So what's really cool is Cropster will be able to group your samples together, so you can look at them individually, but if you would like to view the history of that sample, then you can go and do that pretty easily. So we have this pre-shipment sample down here. That sample was cupped, and it received a score of 86 in this case, and then we got an arrival sample and it got a little bit worse score. So if in this case you wanted to share this information with whoever you're getting the coffee from and be like, hey, we might not have gotten what we were looking for, then you can pretty easily do that by go and hit this link button at the top. And what this will allow you to do, we'll go ahead and hit shared on, and you can copy this link and share all of the quality information. You can choose what different bits of information you'd like to share with the person you're sending the link to. But you can copy this and send it to somebody, and they will have a view-only page that will appear, and that will show all of the samples and the different stages and the quality information that was recorded with each of them. They do not need to be a Cropster user to use this as well. So that is a nice tool there. Like I had mentioned before, we have this accept, decline, pretty simple. So if you say we're going to actually decline this, then you can hit edit rating and type in a comment there about whatever different, if you want to put in a rating or whatever different comment you'd like, you can input that. Just a nice organizational tool so you know what's going on with your coffees and if you're going to end up purchasing them or not. So actually, let's flip the script. Actually, let's say we'll accept it. So in this case, if we did choose to accept it, what you can then do is click on the Manage button, and you can hit Add to Green Inventory. So you can carry not only the samples history together, but you can then bring it along to its life as a production green coffee. So we'll go ahead and hit Add to Green Inventory. I'll pull up that page here. And then it's going to ask us where this coffee is going to end up. So you can say whatever different location. So let's say it's going to be here. And then you're just putting in how much of that inventory you're actually getting. So how much you purchased and how much is on its way or has already arrived. So once you've done that, let's say that there's going to be 5, or let's just do like a 60 kilo bag, and we'll say that there's going to be 3 bags. And then we can do add to green inventory. Once we add this to a green inventory, it will of course be added as a PG number, but like I had mentioned below, we keep the history, the sample history down there. Now we are in the different part of our account. We're in the green inventory tab now. And yeah, oh, it looks like I did 3 kilos, not 3 bags. So my fault there. But yeah, so that is a part of sample management. Going back to samples for a second, if you'd like to add a new stage in this samples history, you can just simply go ahead and hit add sample right here. So this is just an easier way to group them together. If you already have information added with a sample, then you can go ahead and add another one. So let's just, we already did the pre-shipment and arrival. We can say evaluation maybe instead. So you can put in how much sample weight you have, and then you can again select the location it will be at, and then you can hit create. So once it's created, it will exist there, excuse me, down here. and it doesn't have any information added to it yet. If you'd like to add cupping or green grading information, you can do so. You can either open up that SG and then elect to add cupping or add green grading there, or you can just simply hit add cupping there. Pretty simple to do and pretty helpful. You can always, of course, export these things into whatever different format you like, whether it be PDF or Excel or just printing the page. Was there questions that needed to be answered? Devin, how are we looking?
Looking good.
Cool. Cool deal. All right. Sounds good. So with that in mind, we'll jump to our next part of this, which would be green grading. So now in Cropster, actually we'll just go back to the one we already had open before. That's fine, we can actually just use this, why not? We're already here. Our new coffee of 3 kilos, love it. Okay, so in Cropster now, if you didn't know, actually, I guess you can call this a bonus part of this webinar. Everybody has access to green grading now. So it's something that we recently did. Everybody has access from starter to pro. So you can now add in green grading information to your coffees. So in this case, if we had just added in that green coffee and we wanted to add in green grading information, we could select that PG number and then simply click add green grading here. So just to let you know before I dive further into it, Cropster makes it really easy to get to where you want intuitively. So in that case, we were in the PG and we were able to just hit add green grading. If we weren't already in that page, if you wanted to, you can go to the quality tab and also find this bit called physical analysis here, which will allow you to then select from a list of your green coffees and then add in green grading information about them that way as well. So a couple different ways in there, just depends on where you're at in your account and your ease of navigation. So in this case, since we already have it opened up, you'll notice it brings us to the quality tab automatically by selecting add green grading. We'll then select the evaluator, what lab we're going to be doing this evaluation in, and then we can select what different things we're going to be analyzing. So right now I just have them all filtered on, and then we have our green weight, and we have here our PG number that's pulled up. You don't have to do just one. You can of course go and either look for a PG or an SG, so production green or sample green, whatever you'd like to do. So I'll just select another one there and we'll get started. So we'll hit start analysis. And we have the 2 different PGs here at the top. And then you can go ahead and add in whatever different information you'd like. You can go across and check all of these out. I won't name them all off for you, but typically anything that you'd be interested in adding to a green coffee and doing analysis on is going to be in here. Moisture, water activity, environmental temperature, density, things like that. If we go down, then you can go and add in the defects, so number of beans for category 1, category 2 defects. And if we go down even farther, then we can go and put in the screen sizes. So we'll have a simple and advanced view here, so you can either toggle that on or off. So you can either just put in a screen size, or you can go to advanced and then put in how many in each of those that you have, and it will be out of that 350 grams that we started with. Then we have parchment that you can put, pretty easy to input there, and then roast uniformity. So once you've input that information, you can go and well, first of all, you'd hit save at the bottom, and you could then go and review your green grading information in a number of different places, but the place that you can most easily access all of your green grading information would be in the physical analysis tab. So like I mentioned earlier, Cropster is intuitive in the way we display information. We try and do so to make it as useful as possible. So you'll find this information, of course, not only in the physical analysis area, but also in many different reports. So when you're looking at the roast compare report, or you're looking at roasts that you've done, or even before you're starting to roast. If you in the actual roasting intelligence page, you can look at green grading information as well, and look at moisture percentage or water activity and things like that to help you inform your roast process. So I'm going to just pull up one that's already been done and added, information's been added into. So in this case, we'll open up this here. Just click on this QC. That just means quality control there. And then we can go and review what was input for this particular coffee. So whatever was input, that will be available here, the same different categories that I showed before, now just a way to view it. Pretty straightforward, but a nice way to be able to see what's going on with your particular coffees. Again, these things can be viewed in the roast compare report. I recommend checking that out. And like I said, in roasting intelligence as well. Again, you can export this information via Excel, PDF, or just a brief PDF form as well. But that is what you would have access to there. And then also, if you're in the green inventory tab, if you want to be able to have some of these at a quick glance, you can choose to have these on the list here. So for example, we already have screen size pulled up. But you can go through and look at, if you want to look at water activity, for example, or moisture, the percentage, then you can go and look at those pretty easily there. So with that, that would end what I wanted to go over with you all and show you the things that you might not have checked out already. Let's see, Devin, how are we looking on questions? Anything you want to go over?
Maybe the roast curve designer?
Yeah, for sure. So something else that we just added very recently, I think within the last couple of weeks, was the roast curve designer. So we've had a lot of people asking, can I make my own curves, my own roast curves, and we didn't have a solution until now. So what you can do is really simple. You just go to the roast tab. By the way, this is accessible on any account type. So this isn't just a plus or a pro thing. You can do this on any account. So what you do is go and hit add. Again, we're on the roast tab. We'll go ahead and hit add, and then go and hit roast. So here, all we need to do is just type in at least. We'll go ahead and hit test like that. And then we can create a curve. Type in, you can of course add in any different bits of information as well. So if you're trying to emulate a roast that already happened, or you just want to create a fake roast for whatever reason, you can do that. You can go and select all the different information that would be associated with a real roast that you actually did. So you can add in that if you'd like. But to the fun part, here is our roast curve, and we can actually change how this looks and how it works. So right now we have, this is our bean curve, and we have these 2 points, so down here and here, and we can take and grab them and move them. But you can also obviously delete a point, or you can add new ones. So you can double click, and by double clicking, you create a new point on the graph. And as you can see, when you move it, it's of course going to adjust the rate of rise behind it. Pretty straightforward. You can see again that the timer at the top there, moving along with my cursor as well as the temperature, so you can really pinpoint when you'd like to make certain adjustments if you already know how you'd like to design the roast. And if you would like to make comments on the roast, you can go ahead and make a comment at a certain point. So if you want to notify yourself that at a certain point you're going to make a particular gas change, or whatever it may be, then you can make your own comments as well, just like you would in a real roast. So we have, let's say we have a comment here. You can choose what different comment it is. You can make it any of these options here, and you can also, change the timer as well. You can edit that here if you want to fine tune it. And we can also change the duration of the roast. So right now it's preset to 15 minutes. If we want to go and shorten it down, if we had a 13-minute roast or 13:10, we can say, okay, that's what we want to do, and we want to update that, and it will shrink it down to size. Once you have created that roast, it will then be a PR, a production roast, so that you can go and use that as your reference roast, if you like. Yeah, so pretty straightforward, but we're very happy to be able to provide that now. And if you have any questions about it, please let us know. We'd be happy to help out. Yeah, anything else, Devin? Cool. All right, I think that concludes our webinar here. Thank you so much for joining and sticking along the whole time. And yeah, please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to have all you on board. Thank you for being part of Cropster, and we will talk with you guys later.